Hey everyone, Carl Brown here again. Today we're going to do the video accompaniment of the modal progression, writing modal progressions lesson that we did at guitarlessons365.com. So if you don't have that, download that PDF tutorial on how to write this and what's going on when I'm doing these progressions. You may want to go over to the main site and pick it up and read through it, and so you'll know what's going on here. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to be using the triad shapes while we're creating these modal progression, the triad shapes that we studied before. If you'll remember, we did all the major, minor, augmented, and diminished triads and all their inversions going across the entire neck. So you may want to review that. That's also available at guitarlessons365.com with the printouts and the videos and everything to show you how to do it, all for free, of course. So let's get right into this lesson. So when we talked about in the PDF, what you basically need to do when you want to write a modal progression is the first thing is you need to keep the progression static. And to make it static, you have to have the root note of the mode always in the bass. Okay, so say I wanted to do D Dorian. Well, D would have to be in the bass of any chords, anything that I do. That'll make sure, even though you could be playing different chord forms over it, as long as you've got that D going, it'll sound, your ear will hear that as being the foundation of the music, and then your Dorian mode will work over it. If it's A Dorian, you have to have A in the bass, and so forth. So that's very easy. So we're going to work on, the first one we're going to work on is D Dorian. So I'm going to have this D on the 5th string, 5th fret, in the bass at all times. And our first step now, our second step actually, is now we got to figure out what key is D Dorian in. Well, if you remember from your sheet on understanding modes, which is also available at the site, you'll see that you'll remember that Dorian is the second mode. So it's the second mode of some key. So Dorian will be number 2. So if you go backwards down to 1, because whatever is at 1, that's the key. So obviously if D is 2, then you can go down to C, and that'll be 1. Now you need to make sure that you're in the right key here. There's 3 C keys, or C, C flat, and C sharp. You need to figure out which one has a D natural in it, and it's going to be C natural, so C major. So we're in the key of C major, and D Dorian is in the key of C major. So to get this Dorian sound out, what we're going to need to do is play the 4 chord of C major and the 5 chord. Remember from the paper, those are the important chords to really establish a key. So if you remember, if you know your chords are working a key, and obviously we got tutorials about that at the site too, and how to figure out all your chords within a major key, how to write major key chord progressions. That's all available at the site. Well, you'll know that the 4 chord in C major is F, and then the 5 chord is G. We're just talking triads and stuff. We can do 7th chords on this stuff as well. But right now we're going to stick with triads. So if I play, I'm going to start with this, an F major triad is FAC. So I want to play my triad shapes, we'll say in this area of the neck. So I can see that there's an A here on the 4th string. And I know that that is the 3rd of F major. So I just play that's first inversion, F major triad. I can play on those 3 strings. And I can move that up to G major. And that'll be my 5 chord. Now, with holding this D down, I can keep that F major. I just create a bar and put that with my 3rd finger on the 7th, and then the 6th fret with my 2nd finger on the 2nd string. I got that chord, but I can't really reach this one too easy. So it's just not going to happen. So you can do it like that, or you can play this same shape over here. The first inversion of G major, right here. So now I've got a chord progression. I'm going to keep D going underneath both chords. But that chord progression sounds like the Dorian mode, and it sounds great to solo over it in Dorian. I can also use this G up here. Just another G major shape. So if you know your triads, you'll know what I'm doing here. Now we can spice that up. We talked about that each one of these, the 4 and 5 chords, has a secondary triad that you can substitute for it. You can substitute the minor second triad for any time you want to use the 4 chord, this F major, you can substitute it with D minor basically. And then the 5 chord, the G, you can substitute with E minor. So we have like an E minor shape right here. This is the E minor in second inversion. There's a B. So I can do stuff like this. Just, I'm playing the 4 chord over the D, then the 5 chord over the D, back to the 4 chord, and this time to the 3 chord. Okay, let's do a different one. Let's do D, stay with D, but this time let's make it Lydian. We got to figure out, of course we're going to have D in the bass the entire time. D Lydian, if you count back from D, D is 4, C is 3, B is 2, A is 1. Now, what kind of an A key? There's an A flat and an A key. So if you know your keys, you'll know that this D natural happens in A natural, the key of just playing A major, okay? So the 4 and 5 chord of A major is D major. So here's a D major triad on these 3 strings in second inversion of this A. And then we can go up to the E major right here. And if we put the D in the bass underneath this, you'll suddenly hear the sound of Lydian, D Lydian coming out. And then you can experiment and substitute triads and everything. You'll find that this will work with every single mode. All you got to do is find its parent key, locate the 4 and 5 chords, keep the root note of your whatever key your mode is in, whatever note. If it's a G mode, you put G in the bass. Find the 4 and 5 chords of that mode's parent key and play them over that in just a progression. And it will give you the quality, the tonal quality of that mode. So you can record yourself and then go and start and then improvise over it, or create melodies, or use them as basis for compositions. You can do more than triads over this. You can do 7th chord, any kind of like major type chord or dominant chords, or depending on where you're at. But just stick with triads for right now, and you'll probably find some ways to spice this up even more. So please go to the site at guitarlessons365.com and review all these materials so you can really nail this lesson, and let me know what you think, and please support the site in any way you can so I can continue these lessons. I appreciate it. Thanks. Bye-bye.